Here's what neuroscientists know about the brain. It's a vastly parallel distributed system. It has specializations throughout the brain that carry out particular tasks that we love and do all the time. And the consciousness trick is that the circuits that are handling any particular mental state you might be in are enabled by circuits specific to that system. So that sounds fancy, but let me break it down into a clinical example. So I've studied for years these patients that have had their hemispheres divided. They have their brain hemispheres disconnected in an effort to control epilepsy. And this results in a human that can speak and talk and think out of their left hemisphere, but is now disconnected from the right hemisphere. And so the right hemisphere does not speak as a rule and has very limited cognitive capacities. But the overriding finding from studying these patients is that the left brain doesn't seem to miss the right. It's kind of like you don't miss a friend that leaves town. It doesn't seem like it would be the case. So a split-brain patient, after the surgery, they'd wake up, and if they're looking right at you, the nature of the surgery is such that they can no longer describe the right half of your face. It's gone. If they're looking at you, looking right at the nose, they can't see the right half of your face. Yet they never mention it. They never see it as a problem. It never comes into their mind, as it were. And so you realize that, well, maybe the consciousness about that half of space is actually localized in the hemisphere that is now disconnected. And it isn't even a concept to the hemisphere that is doing the talking upon this examination. So you take that idea that all these circuits that are distributed throughout their brain have their own enabling circuits that allow for what we call conscious experience. And therefore it is a parallel system. And then what is consciousness as you and I phenomenally experience it moment to moment? I like to think of it as a organ system, a pipe organ. That when one note's on, that's what you're conscious about. When the next note's on, that's what you're conscious about. And these things come on and off constantly. And there's this appearance of seeming unity to it all. But in fact, it's each of these separate circuit systems being enabled and being expressed in a particular moment in time. And we just keep moving through this timeline. So consciousness is not a thing in the brain that information gets poured into and you're aware of it. It's a constant struggle of all these circuits coming up to the top and holding the stage, as it were, for that second.